Alright, time to get back into the hybrid world once again. And yes, I'll be reacting to the Goji Center one tomorrow, yeah, where he goes over the Primatus Rex thingy, yeah. But today we're looking at Goji, guys, Hank 2.0. So, yeah, and for those who don't know, Hank is the hybrid that started the hybrid war, and, well, it did not live, like, at all. It was very self-destructive. But Goji guy took the remains of him, I guess, and put it into Hank 2.0, I guess. I don't know, that was I'm trying to be weirdly descriptive, but, yeah. But anyways, well, we're gonna see how and what Hank 2.0 does and is like, and that's going to be interesting, because, well, we can actually see what I'm imagining we're gonna see what a, Hank with actual science put into it looks like, instead of just getting something that only works in fiction and then just completely dysfunctions in reality. Yeah, so yeah, this will be interesting, and without further ado, let's just jump right into the video now, shall we?
Hank, you all know him well, and if you don't, you are very, very behind, my friend.
Yeah.
Go watch this video, and then this one if that's the case. But for everyone else who's been waiting, today is the day. Today we not only bring back Hank, the hybrid that started the war, but also make him better in every aspect.
Yep.
Along with that, we will go into depth on his new genome, his
yeah, Goji Center's in this too.
new abilities, and explain just how deadly his new form is. All of this will be achieved using real-world science. Along with that, we will discuss how he will dominate his new environment and how he is now truly a competition for the
Just realized I didn't have my mic completely fixed. It's good now. I don't know how low I was sounding. I don't know.
Dumb 2.0.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Goji Center.
Grab a snack, as today we're happy to welcome back the one that caused the hybrid war.
Say hello to Hank 2.0.
Alright, let's see it. Let's see it, little bugger. Alright, well, looks dangerous. And cool. See, there's a little... Yeah, it already looks good.
So again, welcome everybody. I'm your co-host Goji Guy, along with a special guest here today, that being Goji Center. In today's video, we have heard your all's cries, and plan to upgrade Hank in every aspect to make sure he not only thrives in his new body, but also doesn't, well, blow himself up.
Yeah.
So make sure to subscribe if you like anything dinosaur.
Major issue with that, because it's just... yeah, Season 1 Deku. No better way I can describe it as.
Or Godzilla related, and let's get cooking. So let's start with a little recap, covering Hank's original genome, along with the issues that came with.
Yeah, go back on. The Tardigrade, Giganotosaurus, Carnotaurus, Majungasaurus, Chameleon, Tyrannosaurus, Dunkleosteus, Scorpionfish, Tree Frog, Cuttlefish, Pit Viper, whatever the hell a Rugops is, Pyknomosaurus, I did not pronounce that right. Vivavanator, Jesus. And Dinosuchus. Alright, we got and a Spinosaurus, Velociraptor, Therizino, and Pistol Shrimp. Yeah, alright. So I'm curious as to how much of this we're going to be taking out, because, well, clearly it's too much.
Genome, along with the issues that came with it. Hank was made far before the realism rule was at play with other more modern hybrids. So to anyone that hasn't heard the genome yet, buckle up. Hank's genome included Spinosaurus, Giganotosaurus, Indominus Rex, Scorpius Rex, Chameleon, Dunkleosteus, Pistol Shrimp, and Tardigrade. Yeah, I know. Now, while you can have a wide variety of animals within a hybrid, which you will see with Hank 2.0, the issue is they have to be very selective and careful with how you put them together.
Wait, did he just say we were putting in the new one, or just... Okay, I don't know, we'll see.
So let's start with Hank's most prominent issues. We need to address these issues as to make sure we don't replicate them. And to pretty much make sure this version of Hank is, well, Hank-proof. Yeah. Firstly, arms. Yeah. Now, for those who haven't seen Goji Center's video on Hank, which if you haven't, go watch it now, when making Hank, he was meant to counter and outdo the Indom 2.0 in every way. And to those who have seen the Indom 2.0 video, you know that the 2.0 has some super strong claws and arms.
Oh, yeah.
So when making Hank, I give him some of the hardest hitting arms in the animal kingdom, or, well, claws, using the Pistol Shrimp. But long story short, using Pistol Shrimp claws and a dinosaur arm just isn't how the Pistol Shrimp works. Much less increasing the force with the size like I said it would. In doing all this, at least when you bring Hank into a world that follows closely with our laws of physics, well, Hank blows his own arms off. His bones aren't able to withstand the force and end up blasting off his own body. Next up, his jaw. The Indom 2.0 had a crazy iron bite, making it almost impossible to have any skin resistant to it. So rather than building custom skin or armor to withstand the attack, I decided to beat it in its own game. Not only using T-Rex DNA for the sheer bite force, but also adding Dunkleosteus DNA for a quick snapping jaw. Now while this seems fine at first, it's when you bring up the fact that in the animal kingdom, you can really only have one or the other. In nature, animals either have a strong bite, a quick bite, or some sort of ability, say toxins, or electrocyte cells. Hank here is trying to do both, which again, no bones can withstand. So Hank, when biting full force and speed, just ends up breaking his own face, destroying his lower jaw in a single strike, making it impossible for him to continue in battle. And finally, his mental stability. Using the Scorpius Rex was already a big issue, but putting that together with multiple other dinosaurs, along with the chameleon that changes colors via emotion.
Just correct me if I'm wrong, the Scorpius Rex had some pretty crazy mental issues, because it wasn't what's the word for it? It was like something going. It's like had some mental stuff going on. I think it was because it just wasn't made completely stable or something like that. I don't know. I haven't watched Camp Cretaceous or Chaos Theory, so I'm going off of the little tidbits of memory in my brain that doesn't work when it needs to. Yeah.
Was a terrible idea, making Hank act very erratic. So the biggest issues is his arms, jaw, and psyche. When making 2.0, we need to make sure Hank is able to, well, withstand his own body and mind.
Yep.
And then actually move on to his upgrades and new features. So let's rebuild Hank. Goji Center, take it away.
All right, everyone, sit down, everyone, and get comfortable, because class is in session. Those who have been following this entire hybrid fiasco know very well that Hank did need a bit of improvements. The design and overall concept was actually good enough for us at Goji Center to offer a complete overhaul of Hank's genome, making him true to its original.
Yeah, and despite how this thing does not fare well in reality at all, it does look cool.
Form while keeping the hallmark abilities of Hank. That being a quick snapping jaw, very powerful arms, toxic traits, and a build that more or less resembles an animal in the Spinosauridae family. With that in mind, let's begin with the base. Since Jurassic Park animals are fair game in this scenario, we will keep the original base animal, the Spinosaurus, seen in Jurassic Park 3 and Camp Cretaceous. Goji Guy's decision to select this animal actually was a pretty good idea. To its merit, this animal proved to be a pretty good combatant, grappler, and an adept swimmer. There are things we could take from its real counterpart, the Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, that could actually enhance the base build of this animal without compromising congruity. One aspect of the real-life Spinosaurus that was not present in the JP3 version was the unique foot anatomy. Spinosaurus was one of those very few cases where theropods would walk on all 4 digits, with almost certainly having webbing between them, improving swimming and increasing stability when standing on mucky terrain. The first iteration of Hank seemed to feature a tadpole-like tail. Instead of borrowing from another animal, we can use the real-life Spinosaurus. The tail of the JP3 was nothing special compared to the real thing. Using this paddle-like structure that will later be optimized with a later addition will not only make Hank 2.0 more adept in the water, but also add musculature in assisting Hank in adopting a tripod stance when rearing up to fight. This stance not only makes him look taller and more imposing, but tightens his circle of rotation to turn himself around.
Yeah, I like the T-pose here, that's funny.
Tightens his circle of rotation to turn himself around quicker. To further bolster the cooperation between body and tail, a Patasaurus makes itself present in this mix. A sauropod which could adopt this stance as well, with reinforcements on the bottom of the tail, as well as providing enhanced growth capabilities, helping it get a bit larger and grow fast, like real sauropods could. Now, you may recall that the original Hank had a sail along its back, the material of which looked a bit fishy. Nothing wrong with that, but it could be improved. The original Dunkleosteus gene will hereby be replaced by another fish, who provides a much more useful sail. The appropriately named sailfish will come in handy. Selecting only the genes in charge of developing the sail structure, this addition will not only give Hank 2.0 a large fin to help it maneuver in the water, but also make it collapsible. That's right, Hank 2.0, for reasons that you will find out later, is now able to navigate easier through wide crevices without ruining its sail, keeping it tucked away during combat to prevent any ripping, or moving through dense foliage to avoid it getting tangled up. Now to the biological warfare aspects. In a previous video, we broke down Hank's original ability to secrete poison through its skin via oil glands, and it didn't really work. To fix this problem, we will use...
Yeah, like didn't it just poison itself to death or something with it or something like that? I don't know, just something along the lines of that, I believe.
2 animals, a modern-day dinosaur and 1 aquatic fish to make this the instigator of the worst acid trip ever. Venom is when you bite someone and they get sick. Poison is when something bites you and you get sick. But there are ways to be poisonous without risking injury. You just need ways to deliver the poison in ways that don't hurt yourself. And there are several means, one of which would be present in one of the only known toxic dinosaurs. That's right, here is a hooded pitohui, a curious-looking bird from New Guinea that is...
It's called a what now?
That's right, here is a hooded pitohui, a...
Pitohui? Okay, that's... crazy name.
Curious-looking bird from New Guinea that is loaded with a cocktail of toxins spread across the body tissue and even on its skin and feathers. The fact that this bird is alive and functional means that the bird itself has to be resistant to a wide range of toxins, as they can, in some cases, be more toxic than poison dart frogs. Now, admittedly, these toxins come from stuff that they eat. They don't just excrete poison out of nowhere. What we really need from this bird is the ability to excrete toxins through its skin onto the quills, which will be present on Hank 2.0. The source of this toxicity and the ability to process this poison will come from the Sarpa salpa, reported to cause hallucinations and debilitation like LSD when bitten into. Like the pitohui, this fish itself isn't poisonous.
So I'm guessing people don't eat this. Or they do in case they just want to go on an acid trip. Someone out there is crazy enough to just take a bite out of like one of these things just straight up raw and then go on a trip. I'm willing to bet someone has. I mean, how else are you gonna know it gives you hallucinations? Someone had to figure it out the hard way, huh? Huh? Imagine someone did.
But it comes from algae it eats. This internal physiology and the bird's ability to then allocate these toxins on skin and quills will be useful for Hank. Now, most animals that take a bite of and eat a chunk of Hank will likely begin to hallucinate and act a bit off. And as we'll get into this later, this version of Hank would actually be an omnivore and spend a lot of time in riverways, meaning that there will be lots of algae to snack on and convert to said toxins. Given the sheer volume of toxins involved, Hank might even...
because, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, most toxics and or poisonous stuff are mainly just toxin poison from the stuff they eat, and, yeah.
Taint some water formations, causing anyone to drink this affected water to suffer from the effects. That is, if Hank remains submerged long enough in stagnant water. One of the big problems with the original version of Hank was the bite. With tooth and jaw, the 3 methods of attack are the following: slash and rend, like a shark; clamp and crush, like a T-Rex; or snap and engulf, like the Dunkleosteus. Hank's problem was that the creators tried to make this animal do all 3 things at once, resulting in catastrophe.
Yep, can't have it all. You gotta pick one of the 3 and stick with it.
Our goal, Hank's Bite, is to make something that works differently than the Indom 2.0 to allow Hank to confront and defeat different types of opponents, some of which the Indom 2.0 might have trouble with. Hank's jaws will combine aspects of Giganotosaurus on top of the already existing Spinosaurus. Now, while neither of these carnosaurs had the same biting pressure of a T-Rex, neither of these bite forces were at all weak, with plenty of evidence that these could shatter bone and cut deep into the skeleton itself. To better blend the...
like I believe, I don't remember what it was, but I think I saw someone like get the biting force order of them, like out of the 3 between Spino, Giga, and Rex. Rex was at the top with Giga in the middle and Spino having the weakest of the 3, but, you know, they were in no means weak at all. So, yeah, and adding the 2 together, imagine that helps.
These 2 forces without compromising any of the teeth, the Giga comes equipped with an enlarged chin, which helps the Giga withstand the torque, snapping the jaws down rapidly like those of a bear trap. This feature will prevent Hank 2.0 from smashing its own face like last time. So far, Hank's tooth arrangement looks like this: Spinosaur-like teeth on the front of the jaw to grasp and stab into a target. In the latter part, we have the serrated Giga-like teeth to act like a homicidal hacksaw to shred flesh and bone.
Looks cool
These
as hell.
may not crush as well as its partner, but will certainly get the job done, and is likely to inflict more bloody wounds, enabling easier tracking of any prey that escaped. The armored plating on top of the head...
Since Goji Center's here talking about all this, is he gonna do one of his, what's it called? Is he gonna animate a fight between the Indom 2.0 and Hank 2.0? That'd be cool. That would be cool. I mean, we've already got a fight between Indom 2.0 and Ultimasaurus, so, you know, might as well put it up against that. Or put the Ultimasaur up against the Hank 2 and see how that fares. Or have a free-for-all. That'd be cool, too. Hey, we'll see what happens. There's lots of possibilities you can do with this.
Head of the Giganotosaurus will reinforce the cranium to act as a real bludgeon in the midst of battle, and keeping that pointy crest influenced by the marine sailfish element. We aren't quite done yet with the teeth. The original Hank did have quite the distinct look, and to not deprive it from the joys of biting extra hard into a victim, Thylacoleo makes itself present into this mix by providing 2 sets of enlarged blade-like incisors, which further bolster the Spinosaurus' insane gripping ability at the front of the jaw. Pairing those blade-like tusks on the front of the jaw with the rapid snaps and sturdy skull from the 2 Carnosaurs, and you have a good recipe for rapid stabbing and slicing into whatever Hank starts biting into, bypassing armor or dermal tissue to hit the blood vessels underneath more effectively. Another big problem that OG Hank had that ultimately contributed to its ruin was the foolish use of the pistol shrimp arm mechanic. If you remember, this sort of impact is only viable underwater. And if somehow this was possible up here on land...
A lot of people did not learn from that when they sent in their hybrid submissions. And then they added electric eels to a thing as well, which that annoyed the shit out of me. And whatever other problems they added in that they just didn't know how it worked. Yeah.
Then, well, you wouldn't have an arm left. To allow Hank to have a hell of a haymaker, we will resort to some of the extinct mega mammals, whose living relatives include tree sloths, anteaters, and armadillos. Hank's arms will be anatomically similar to Lestodon. This was one of the largest of the ground sloths, with the big ones reaching the size of elephants. We'll take the Olcranon, or elbow spike, which acts as a force multiplier, and the arm attachments across the deltoid tuberosity. If you take a look at these lower arm bones like the ulna and radius, you'll notice that they are extremely robust and sturdy enough to withstand a lot of force. Add the very strong grip that these animals have, and you have an animal that can hold and slap a lesser animal's face right off. With what claws, you might ask? Well, we'll go back to our ground sloth in a bit in order to bring back the Thylacoleo. They also contribute here, thanks to its very pronounced thumb claw with a great range of motion to act as a grappling device. Even the Apatosaurus contribution adds to this, as it's one of the many types of sauropods that actually did bear an enlarged talon on their thumb, which it certainly used. More congruity, and even better thumb claw. One extra asset that we can graft on with the benefit of precision gene editing that allows Hank to secrete toxic oil from the quills is the Komodo dragon's iron-enriched teeth. Not only do they also have an impressive set of claws to complement the sloth and thylo, but this could provide slight iron enrichment as well as keratin reinforcement. Reptiles have a different type of keratin than mammals. Known as beta-keratin, this material is stronger than the alpha-keratin mammals have and will further strengthen these claws. Thalassocnus is our contributor not only for the arm bone composition, but also different parts of the skeleton. A decent-sized sloth, but it's the hardware built on for its lifestyle that we are after. This sloth was amphibious to the point of comfortably making journeys out to sea. Riverways, open water, lakes were all fair game to explore, armed enough to fend off attacks from oceanic predators like sharks and whales. To do this, a flexible spine, which will help greatly with swimming and maneuvering underwater when it paddles its thick tail side to side. It also has extremely dense bones, which will serve as a ballast to help it sink underwater and possibly even walk on the riverbeds. Balancing out any buoyancy from the theropod air sacs inside the body, Hank is now a very adept diver. You may have noticed that we haven't talked about armor yet. We'll be taking the attributes from the Komodo dragon and, believe it or not, the sloth. Using these will prevent Hank from being too armored to the point where it can't move comfortably. The scales of the Komodo dragon...
I armor it too much and then it just gets too heavy to move around, which... Well, another thing some people didn't realize from the hybrid submissions is that some of them made their hybrids way too heavy.
are different from those of a crocodile. Crocodiles have scutes, hardened plates of keratin. Lizard scales are formed from the uppermost layers of skin tissue with a bony component, like tiny osteoderms developing as they age. So, in our case, Hank, as he grows up to adulthood, will slowly but surely develop stronger armor as he matures. To further reinforce parts of the armor, and to not leave Hank with just scales, Lestodon comes in handy once more. This animal just so happened to belong to a group of ground sloths that developed a mesh of bony nodules underneath parts of their bodies, resisting many types of slashing and stabbing wounds. With these two types of armor present, we have an exceptionally well-armored Hank, with hardened scales, bony support, and an underlying layer of sloth armor padding. Particularly determined attackers might still be able to pierce, but they would have a lot of that force diminished before they reached any vital organs, all whilst maintaining enough agility for Hank to fight back. The final part of this hybrid anatomy to discuss is the brain. And since we're planning for this creature to
How
collapse...
smart or dumb or neutral brain is this gonna be, I guess? Neutral brain, okay.
With Indom 2.0 in a special experiment, we'll have both of these have a common denominator when it comes to brain composition: the chimpanzee. This brain needs no further introduction. Collaborative enough to formulate strategy with members of its own kind, and aggressive instincts on par with some of the most violent animals on Earth. For this experiment, both an Indom 2.0 and Hank 2.0 will be raised together in captivity. Well-fed so that they may not turn on each other, and encouraged to collaborate as they mature. More details on this will be revealed.
Science experiment that why not? Why not? No. Watch them just eventually just work together to just break out and just cause another Jurassic Park disaster again. I know the first Indominus was able to do. Who's to say this one won't, along with Hank 2.0?
On our channel at a future date. But now that we wrapped up this section, we are happy to present Hank Resurgence. Name meaning Hank the Risen, a more powerful and functional hybrid, designed to complement the Indom 2.0 in their future task to take over Skull Island.
So with all of Goji Center's nerd talk out of the way, oh, I'm so lonely. Let's finally reevaluate Hank versus Indom. First up, sheer bulk. Hank 2.0 is huge. Some would even say massive. His sheer size, along with his long arms, while not as defined as the Indom's muscles, would be like putting a bodybuilder up against a powerlifter. Think C-Bump versus Eddie Hall. Hank's sheer volume and weight would act like a snowplow. If he charges into Indom 2.0, while there would be a struggle at first, Hank would quickly overpower his foe, and it would honestly just be the best for Indom to just let it happen. As if she bites or slashes at him, she'll get those nasty neurotoxins right in her mouth. Secondly, just waiting in water. If Hank stays in a body of water long enough, his toxins would seep into the water itself. And if when Indom needs to come get a sip, she would start to have an insane acid trip. Now, whether or not this kills her, this does put her at a huge disadvantage, allowing Hank to quickly swoop in and do what the Moza did to her predecessor. And if you're worried this strap won't work in Indom, as she'd of course see all the dead animals around, you have to keep in mind, Hank is smart. He would either remove them from the surrounding area, or just drag their bodies down to the water and eat them later. Another cool way Hank could take down the Indom is back to his roots, his jaw. Now, while not having a bite as strong as the Indom's, Hank once again has a faster bite though, being able to cause a lot of bleeding in a short amount of time, and along with its wicked toxins, would ensure temporary paralysis. And there is one other tactic, but we'll save that for another video. So to answer the question is hard. A battle between these two would be close and fierce. Now, while I am of course biased to Hank, putting the bias aside, it's a close 50-50. There are ways for either of them to take each other out. It really just depends on their own.
They're both really powerful hybrids. Like, I would like to see a fight animation between these two, but it would definitely be really good, and I would be all here for it. And I feel like it would be fitting, because obviously putting the Indom 2.0 against Hank 1, Deku Hank, obviously is just a full stomp, but here we got something on two very dangerous hybrids on equal footing. I would love to see that, yeah. Wonder if Goji Center's already thinking of that and possibly working on it. And we'll see.
Experiment in who gets the jump. If the Indom ambushes Hank, Hank could hold his own, but I feel he would go down. If Hank plows into the Indom and manhandles her, he could take the win. There are ways for either of these beasts to take each other out. But overall, Hank 2.0 is a massive upgrade, having a retractable sail, huge arms, long claws, a deadly bite, and all of that paired with his sheer size and poisons and hallucinogenics. Yeah. No dinosaurs can have a good time fighting this monstrosity. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think the new Hank could be the Indom 2.0? Let us know. But as always, everybody, keep collecting. Goji Guy, out. See ya.
Well, if there's one thing for sure, it's definitely an upgrade. That is... yeah. Is there anything else in this?
So, do we have an agreement? We get your research, you get ours.
Checks out with us.
All right, well, just sign here and then Hank's cells are all yours.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Same to you. Though, we're still a little upset about you killing our first hybrids, but I'm sure soon enough you'll make up for it.
Well, they were a threat. You know how this business works. Oh, and one last question.
Yes?
That fish you made?
Ah, yeah. Vex.
Well, I've seen the supposed rumors that she's missing, but I know that's a lie. Where is she?
Well, I suppose you should know, since you are our partners now. Too many smaller companies were sending hybrids to fight her, so we released her siblings to help.
Ah, I see.
Siblings?
But you didn't answer. Where is she?
Well, if you must know, Vex has now entered the Baltic Sea.
I saw that on a post. Yeah. Alright, so that's gonna be interesting. More collaborative work between Goji guy and Goji Center. That'll definitely be interesting. I'll look forward to seeing what those two could come up together with. Yeah. I feel like Goji guy's making his own aquatic hybrid to fight Vex because he was asking about it at the end. I feel like he might be. Who knows? Maybe a video will come out one day. He'll be like, alright, so here's how we made our way better hybrid that's going to absolutely demolish this thing. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Regardless, Vex 2.0. I love it. I like it. Its design and everything more than the first one and all that. It's an upgrade, like a huge upgrade, and one that actually works in realistic science and everything too. I want to see a fight animation between those two so badly. I really do. As for what I think would win between the two, I don't know. I mean, it might be 50-50. Who knows? They're both extremely dangerous, so who knows? The one thing the Endom does have over, which, I mean, this doesn't help in a fight, but its reproductive abilities over Hank, because, well, it didn't go over any type of reproductive abilities Hank has, in comparison to the Endom, where it makes a whole army of itself, and then cause a pandemic. So, yeah, that's a thing. Alright, I'm going to end the video now. So if you enjoyed it, check out the original video, which will be linked in the description below. Don't forget to go support Goji guy for making this amazing video. He'll also be linked in the description below. Oh, go sub to him and support him and everything. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.